I'm Sonia B. Welcome back to another episode of Intimate Conversations. And I have a very special guest here with me, Mike, all the way from Chicago. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you for coming. So we have a lot to unpack.
Let's go.
Let's go ahead and dive right into it. First topic up, the importance of self-development. I feel there's a huge lack of that going on right now. And let's talk about it, how developing you helps in all areas of your life.
Man, so that hits home for me because I got married at 22, right? And I didn't know who the heck Mike was. I didn't know who I was. I had, got it, kids, I think 2 years in. And so I found myself trying to figure out who I was, figure out what this role that I now obtained as husband. Then I'm still a man, and so it was a lot of things happening, right? But I think self-development is so crucial because if you don't have a good understanding of who you are, you have a tendency to overcompensate and rely on your partner, right? So that's where codependency comes in. That's where, you're requiring more from them than they can give sometimes. They don't have it in them. So I think but that's the one thing we're not doing right now with Instagram and all the stuff. We're not really developing who we are. We're not really coming into our own skin and finding our own voice.
Absolutely.
I can go on and on.
I know, you're good. And look, our lack of self-development and the way it plays out in so many situations, not just in romantic relationships, but in platonic relationships. It shows up in all areas. But another thing that leads me to my next statement, the limited beliefs and scarcity mindset that keeps us in a cycle of settling. I think
it's related. They
very
cousins.
close. Yes, they are.
They second cousins.
It keeps us from settling. It keeps us settling. I'm sorry. Just not developing us. No boundaries in place. The lack of boundaries. So when you coach people, and they come to you and you discover they haven't really put boundaries in place, what do you advise them to do?
Well, I tell them it's like, when you don't have a healthy, can we cuss? Okay. I just want to make sure. When you don't have a healthy sense of self, and then you go into a relationship, you're literally looking at a mirror, and so whatever's in front of you, you're just going to reflect that, right? And then when it comes to boundaries and beliefs, part of developing yourself is that you'll learn some of your own core values, what you like and what you don't like. And so you're not jumping from one personality to the next and a chameleon in every relationship. You're a different version of you. And so I try to tell people to really focus on, one of the things we focus on is what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses?
Okay.
The SWOT thing, what are your opportunities for growth? And then with the threats, I say, what can get you out of character? What can make you act a fool, right? What are your triggers? And really hone in on those things, because my main practice is really, my main belief or ideology is like, everything starts with knowledge of self and developing a core set of beliefs and values that align with what you want. And then you can look for a relationship. And if it doesn't have the values that you're looking for, it's clearly, no, this ain't it. Or if you decide to move forward, you know what's coming.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so you coined this on social media. The long-term bucket. What takes the women from the long-term bucket and places them in the short-term bucket? Let's get into it.
You ain't send me that question. No, I think the long-term and short-term bucket, I think if you're in the long-term bucket, and just for reference, I think that just means there's fun, there's companionship, but then the main component is there's commitment, right? That's the difference between long-term and short-term. Short-term is fun, it's companionship, trips and all that. There's no real commitment. What can downgrade you from the long-term bucket to the short-term bucket is after time, we see that you actually don't have the values that I thought you had. And back to that self, if I like this, this, and this, and if I thought you had that initially, I'm like, she in the long-term bucket. And after time, I realized, you're not classy, you ghetto. You're not, you this and you that. It's like, I still want the fun, still want the companionship, but we don't really align on the most important things. So then you got to go to the short-term bucket.
But wait, don't hold us. Don't hold us now.
Come on, go ahead.
Having sex too soon throws us in the short-term bucket list. Occasionally. We're in a hypersexual
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah. Prematurely, I believe it does. What do you think?
I think that I got two beliefs on it. One is, yes, it can put you in a short-term bucket. The other belief is, if you are a grown-ass person, right, I believe in choice. And so if you say, yo, I want to sleep with you the first night, we are two consenting adults, I don't see nothing wrong with it as long as you know what you want.
Right.
Right? It's all about the person, the class of the person. So I've been in situations where, I'm supposed to say I know somebody. I know somebody who slept with somebody on the first night, and in their eyes, they didn't diminish in value, right? They didn't.
Yeah, because we hear that all the time. Like, oh, so-and-so, they slept together on the first night, and they've been married 20 years.
Right.
That happens.
It happens. It sounds like you're alluding to is rare.
It's rare these days. Maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago, when people were intentionally dating for marriage, it might have been different. Yeah. But right now,
but the women just as savage as the men, though. Yeah,
they come for us.
I mean, rightfully so.
They are.
Rightfully so.
You're not lying.
Right.
As they are.
Yeah, they got just as much game as men now, so it goes both ways.
And they're aggressive.
They can be. They can be. They can be like, yo, this is just what I'm looking for, and wham bam, thank you, sir. And
that's okay if you are not looking for anything serious. But look, in the vetting process, because we've all had to go through some form of process or kiss a lot of frogs to get to the prince, to get to that relationship that we were desiring. So what I tell women in their vetting process, let's just hold off a moment. If your intention, this is for the women that are looking to get married, that are looking for long-term commitment, not looking for fun. If you're in the fun lane, that's a totally different topic. Do what you want to do whenever you want to do it. But the ones that are like, hey, I am ready to settle down and find someone, I encourage them to let's just not do that so prematurely. Let's see if he's really what he's really here for. Kind of wait. I have a whole vetting process.
Do you?
I coined virtual dating. I did that. Virtual dating. So look, in the vetting process, virtual dating for me, if I meet a gentleman, if I met you today and you were like, let's go out tomorrow, it would be a no for me.
Really?
You have to you have to agree to a virtual date with me.
What's a virtual date?
Let's explain it. Let's get into it. So you can meet on Zoom, FaceTime, Duo, whatever. You're going to get dressed. I'm going to get dressed. It is a real date. Bring your choice of libation. We can converse, have eye contact. I can see body language, all these things to see if I actually want to go on a date with you and give you my time. For the men, because I've interviewed a lot of men, and one of their chief complaints was, oh, I'm spending $1,500 a month taking all these women out on dates, and I get there and she can barely hold a conversation. Let's just go ahead and determine that on a virtual date. If it's something you want to proceed with, then you guys go ahead and agree. It's a place for us to meet on neutral ground, man and woman. It's beneficial. It saves both time and, of course, safety.
Yeah.
You can do it from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
So you got to
agree. Does it work?
It works. I just had 2 virtual dates last weekend.
Oh.
One was great. So let me tell you, one was great. The second one, he had a couple drinks. After that,
it all came out.
If I had to have that experience in person, I would have been looking for the nearest exit.
Really?
Immediately. So I'm so glad that was virtual and I could abruptly have a good night.
You might be onto something with that.
Oh, I'm definitely onto something. So I encourage the people to try virtual dates.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
I think the only drawback I think men would have is we like physical contact. We like being in spaces. And the companionship piece. So if your love language happens to be physical touch or quality time, I don't know if it would translate on a virtual date, especially considering we're in this whole Zoom era with work. So I was like,
the first time or the second time, I only do one. I do one virtual date.
Okay.
Before I agree to meet in person. It's not an ongoing thing. No, it's just to kind of see, do I even want to be bothered or not?
Check the vibes. Yeah.
Check the vibes first before I actually get dressed.
And drive.
Exactly. So I encourage women at minimum the first date.
That's a good idea.
Or at least until you're comfortable. And here's what ends up happening. People that are looking for a good time, a one night stand, they're not with it. They're like, can we just skip that? Can we just speed that up? Can I cook you dinner? Can you just come to my house and I couldn't? No, sir, I cannot.
Right.
So
weed them out.
You get to weed them out quicker. So your vetting process, you start just weeding through it. Yeah, way faster. And then you're not spending that much time. There's so much you could learn on a virtual date from somebody. So
virtual date, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. So look, everybody's saying there aren't any good men or good women left. However, do you get people that come to you and say that, and then they'll say, for example, I've been going to the same, like I go to the bar all the time. I do go out. They're doing the same things over and over, but expecting to yield a different result.
Right.
What do you typically say?
We was just having this conversation with somebody. You got to fish at a different pond, right? You got to change your bait. And then if you're not having any success, maybe you are the common denominator. How are you showing up? What energy are you showing up? Ooh.
Yeah, the exclamation mark or the question mark. You coined that.
Yeah, like, and then here's a little taboo, right? So I went to an event the other week, and I was speaking about some of this stuff. And so a lady, she asked a question or something, and she was very angry with her energy, right? And I was in a room full of women, black women. I'm thinking, do I really want to touch on this shit right here? Because the exit is that way, and I got to get through all them. I said, fuck it, let's do it. And so I said, look, let me ask you a question. Do you think you are angry? No. I'm not angry. I just know what I want because I've been through this and da-da-da, and I was a da-da-da. I said, okay. I said, most men, I said, if me and you went on a date and you showed up with that energy, most men are going to perceive you as angry. Don't kill me. Speaking as your brother, but most men are going to perceive that as angry. And I gave an analogy. My grandmother used to cook fish in the kitchen, and I would sit in the kitchen with her just to be there and enjoy her company. I wouldn't cook nothing. But when I left, my whole clothes smelled like fish. She don't know that she's wearing and she smells like anger. She can't see it. She's like, I ain't cooked no fish. I didn't do nothing. But I'm like, yo, the way you're showing up, the presentation is very angry. So if you're not having success in your dating relationships, one of the things I would probably encourage is like, yo, let's talk about, what did y'all talk about? What are your triggers? What are your passions? How are you showing up? Because the energy, that's a big thing.
Let me circle back to how they're showing up, the angriness. We got to remove the RBF face. We need to smile more. We have a simple smile can go so far.
Just talking about that last night.
Far.
Oh my God.
I see so many women like I don't want to approach them, and I'm not looking for a woman, but they look upset just in passing, the demeanor and everything, just smiling and yeah.
And let's say this: they have a right to be angry.
Oh yes,
right. Y'all
absolutely.
have a right to be angry, but at the same time, just like men have a responsibility to show up and handle their business and not come with all this baggage. I think the message typically is, yes, we're angry because men do us wrong, da-da-da. I'm not contesting that. But you have to do something about it, right? And a simple smile, oh my goodness. A smile or the lack thereof, you could take a 9. If she don't smile, she got a bad attitude, that thing would drop her to a 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
And you could take a 6.5, 7 with a smile and a pleasant attitude. She going up to an 8.5.
Absolutely.
Like, it's a secret weapon.
It definitely is. We gonna try to do better. I'm trying to teach the ladies to try to do better. From everything, from the aura, from the energy to, you mentioned this, saying thank you, and not feeling so entitled.
That's the truth.
Which was another thing with the virtual dating. It was like, well, I have to go on my $200 or $300 dinner date. Yes. He deserves to know if you're worth the conversation, if you're worth the date before he spends his resources. Like we got to start extending grace to one another. Absolutely. Be respectful of one another's resources. Yes. I'm not entitled to any man's money just because I'm pretty.
Right.
he's not entitled to any woman's time
Right.
just because he's paying.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, with this virtual date, we both get to see, is it a yes or a no?
And with that thank you piece, I think the lack thereof to me is a reflection of the entitlement mindset. But then also, I don't even know if we want to go there, but the women sometimes show up with masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And they wonder why men exit stage left. And a part of femininity from a man's perspective, I'm not trying to define it for everybody, but from a man's perspective, we love when we get the thank yous. Thank you for opening my door. Thank you for this. Thank you for the flowers. Show appreciation.
Yes.
And it encourages, it adds fuel to our masculine fire. It makes us want to continue. But when you show up with that whole you supposed to, supposed to's, bruh.
Supposed to, you out the door.
You out too. You out.
Next
I'm
caller.
Good. I'm good. Thank you. Next.
It's hard. It's hard for women to take that cape off, especially when they've been responsible for everything, doing everything, been the person that everybody relies on, raising the children by themselves. It's very hard to take that cape off and switch back to their femininity, which I believe is their true nature.
Right. But even saying that means so much to men. If you show up and say, look, if you have the vulnerability to do it, I really want to enjoy this date. My energy right now, I just got off of work. I just had to get my kids situated. I'm a little bit more, I wouldn't use the word masculine, but I really want to embrace my femininity right now, but I'm just transitioning. Like if a woman came to the table with that level of emotional intelligence and just let me know that she's trying to calm down from her busy day, cool. I get it, right? Let's start to have the conversation about that versus you expect me to open your door. You expect me to walk on the outside of the street. You expect me to pay the bill. But then when it comes to what I need as a man, I didn't work all day. And it's like, let's have a conversation. Let's work together on some of these things and not fight.
We are better together.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm promoting. We are better together.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. 100% we are better together. We need each other.
Yeah.
For sure. So, let me see. This takes me to our next topic. Men and or women not going after the person they really want. You tell the men. Because men will be with someone as a placeholder.
Absolutely.
Until he gets whatever together, himself, his finances, whatever. And then he's going to go after the woman he really wants.
But we only can do that if y'all let us. I know a guy right now who's dealing with a woman, and be careful.
Be putting nobody's business out in the streets.
So here's the thing, she's desperate.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up with desperate energy. And so when you are desperate, when you're promoting yourself, when your assets are hanging all out, you present yourself like a commodity, and commodities are to be used. Companions are to grow and to build with. So if you're a commodity, if you're coming up with a commodity, look at me, look at this, look at that. And if he's presenting an energy to you that's like, yo, I don't have to really take you serious, you've accepted that. And so, yes, men will keep her around because she seems to be okay with the arrangement. And until she shows different, see, she's not really ready to leave the situation to get better treatment, but she's not showing up with, I hate these terms, high value woman energy. She's showing up with desperate energy. And it comes from a pure place. Like, we all want companionship. I get it, right? So I'm not knocking her, but she has to, like, if she was somebody I was working with, I say, yo, we got to figure out how to get you to show up different. How do we transform that desperate energy into something else?
Yes.
Because men will take advantage of that. Absolutely.
And men have it too.
Yeah. Oh, my
Men have it too.
Men have it too.
Men have it too. How do you encourage your clients to not show up like that? Because hold on, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
There was this guy, and could you let me know if this is true or not? Like, I'll speak for the women.
Yeah.
We don't like someone overly praising us. Oh my God, thank you for texting me back. Oh my God, thank you for liking my Instagram post. It's an Instagram post.
Come on, bro.
Not taking charge, not taking control, kind of just like, should we? Can we? Like, Tell a man.
Yeah.
What?
So
Not to do that. How can they not do that?
man, so I went from that. I went from being a beta man.
Mm-hmm.
I was the nice guy. Nice guys fucking finish last. Point blank, period. No way of making it sound sweet and nice. You fucking finish last, bro. Right? And why you finish last is because, to your point, women don't desire just nice guys. Women, from their core, from my experience, desire a masculine energy, right? And masculine doesn't mean that toxic shit that we hitting this thing. Masculine doesn't mean the toxic energy that we've seen, but it means someone who's strong, someone who's determined, who has a vision, who can guide and lead, someone who respects their partner and say, yo, come along with me. What do you think? And so I think guys sometimes think, hey, I was trying to be nice and I'm trying to show preference, but you're not showing your strength. Women are attracted to strength. And so if you don't have a healthy display of strength, so I really try to get them to change the way they think about what it means to be a man, change the way they think about how they're showing up. Do you want to be, and these guys are often intimidated by masculine. Mm-hmm. A nice man, nice guy, because I was him. He's intimidated by the masculine man. And so you have to really walk them through the journey of really unlearning what it means to be nice. Why are you nice? Is that really necessary? Finding your voice, being okay communicating your voice.
And how nice are you? Like people pleasing nice? Because that's back to inner work, back to developing you.
Oof, developing you.
The people pleasing, yes. And I have this thing I say, I don't date nice guys. I date great men. Yeah,
Boom.
That's a huge difference.
Huge difference. What's the difference from a practical standpoint? Like if you're on a date with a nice guy versus you're on a date with a great man, what are some of the differences in the experience for you?
In the experience for me, based on previous experiences, it's him being assertive. I've made this dinner reservation.
Right.
If you're free Friday night, I would like you to join me. Versus, do you think we can? Can we maybe? And like I said, the whole, oh my gosh, thank you for texting me. Thank you for, and it's okay. It's nothing wrong with the man saying, thank you for joining me for dinner after dinner is over. Totally fine. But that, thanks for calling me. Thanks for texting me. Like that overly praise, no. And some other things I've experienced, they're more assertive. They're more dominant. I love dominant men. I can't do the passive.
And look, when it comes to bedroom activity, nice guys ain't pulling hair, they ain't choking, they ain't putting fingers in places. They're not doing that because that would be rude.
It's boring.
Boring as hell. It's so vanilla.
It's extra vanilla with a hint of vanilla.
With a little sprinkle of vanilla seasoning.
It is. Let's get it. It's intimate conversation, so we got to get into it.
Go ahead. Let's hear now.
Yeah, we here now.
So, can we get some more head?
We here now, so we might as well. Okay. What's your thoughts on women initiating sex?
Let's go.
I never, my personal belief is I don't initiate, I seduce.
Oh, now that's maybe I'm thinking seduce when you said initiate sex because I am thinking seduce. Seduce is a whole skill. It's a whole shit.
And the art of seduction is dead. The art of seduction has died. We need to bring it back, ladies.
See, that's that old school shit. They're not doing this new batch. They're not doing that.
I want them to bring it back.
You got to teach you. They don't know the power of the eye contact. They don't know the power. See, but that's rooted in femininity.
Okay, let me touch that. You're absolutely right. Because I will hear women say, but if the right man came along, then I'll be feminine.
Okay.
You're either naturally feminine or you're not. Now, can the woman say or acknowledge, you know what, there's some things I need to work on because I want to get back to being more feminine? Absolutely. But waiting for a specific person to come along so that you can pretend to be that, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah. You're still going to revert back to your natural ways unless you do some serious work to change that. You're consciously aware. You're doing the daily work to be like, you know what? I need to do X, Y, and Z to get back to my true nature of being feminine. I can come out of survival mode now.
Right.
So.
And then you're codependent. You're telling me the only time you're feminine is when I come around. Right. And so, yeah, that's a challenge. definitely when it comes to seduction, because there is no seduction. I don't know if they know how, and
Because I spoke to somebody and he was saying, oh, I dated this model and she would just basically come in, take her clothes off, and he'd be like, like, you didn't do nothing. Like, oh, there was nothing. Like, I'm just supposed to be excited and ready to go just based off your looks alone. Not saying that don't work, but there needs to be a little bit more.
Now, for, again, using a term that I don't like, but it's widely known, high-value men. Okay, for high-value men, a beautiful face and a nice body, that's the standard. Mm-hmm. So to your example, if you just show up and get naked, that doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
I need some energy. I need an attitude. I need more than that. I need some body language. So it's different.
Absolutely. Different. Okay. So affirming your partner doing sex. Yes or no for you?
Hell yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hell to the yes.
I didn't know I needed to be affirmed until I was affirmed.
That can get you to climax faster. I mean, because if you are, especially women, y'all love stories. Y'all love the whole thing, right? It's not just the act. So if you help her reach a place of euphoria by speaking to her heart, and please.
Would you tell the men if they get up here, the rest will follow?
Listen.
Hello, River.
It's if you can fuck her mind.
There you go.
You got her body.
You got her body. And it's,
simple as that. If you can figure out how to fuck her mind, you got her body. What is she like? What is she,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody is watching or listening and they want to reach out to you for coaching, where can they find you on Instagram? How can they reach you?
Yep. Hit me on Instagram, Mike, MIKE_speaks, the number 2. I got a link on there for some free consultation. But then send me a DM, say, yo, I saw you on the Sonia B show, Intimate Conversations, and just want to touch up. And right now, I'm still checking all the messages.
Okay. So give you a little time.
Time.
No problem. I'm so glad you came. Thank you.
Thank you so
much for coming and sitting with me and having this conversation. And as always, this episode was brought to you by our sister company, Intimate App. And I'm Sonia B. You can find me on Instagram at Sonia_B_. And thanks for listening.